Hello and welcome to the PLAISIRS Wellbeing Workshop. This one is virtual wellbeing workshop, so it's very different to how we usually do it. My name's Emily and I am the manager here at PLAISIRS. So I'd just like to welcome you all to this wellbeing workshop and thank you for joining us. We usually have our wellbeing workshops 4 times a year. We have it for every season, and we get someone to come and speak, or a few people to come and speak about how we can improve our well-being at this time. They're usually a local guest, and today we have Sophie, who is from Fuller Nutrition, and she's a local nutritionist who's going to be speaking about hydration. She's really hot on hydration, really great, and we're going to find out so much information on how we can improve our well-being with hydration from her today. And she'll also be speaking about eating habits, and she'll go on to talk about how we can be kind to ourselves to help our mind and our body at this time. So really looking forward to hearing from Sophie, and we can't wait to hear your feedback as well. So please do comment along this whilst you're listening or afterwards as well, and ask any questions that you need. But before we start, I just thought I would talk to you a little bit about how I have found some helpful tips that I found at this time that helped me personally. I have found, I don't know about you, but my skin has actually been worse during lockdown. Some people might be the opposite and found that their skin is better, but for me it's not been great. And I think that there's a few things that come into that. So one being hydration, which we'll hear about from Sophie in just a second. So I won't speak about it for too long, but basically with added screens that we've brought into lockdown, you know, FaceTiming all the time, and watching probably more TV because we're not out so much, or just being on the computer more because we're working from home. That's really affected me personally with my skin, and I think it's actually not helping with the hydration side of my skin. So I've definitely felt more dehydrated and also congested in my skin. So with hydration as well, I feel like being in out of my normal routine, I've forgotten to drink as much water as usual. So I'd really recommend, what I do anyway, is I remind myself on my phone. I get little reminders every so often during the day to have a drink of water, which really helps me. Might not help you, but you should definitely make sure that you're aware of how much water you're drinking, because mine has definitely decreased since working from home and being out of my normal routine. And another helpful thing that I've done since noticing that my skin's been worse is making sure that I go out every day for a walk or exercise. I feel like this obviously helps your mental well-being, but it also will help your skin have a little bit of a breather. I think being shut indoors all the time doesn't help the skin, and yeah, I think it's definitely helpful with your mental well-being, going outdoors and being in nature, and making sure though at the same time that you're social distancing from people. And I feel like that can definitely our mental well-being has an effect on our skin, and can my skin gets irritated. It's quite I get eczema, so it can be affected by my mental health as well. So and then the final thing that I would say that really helps me is giving my skin a little bit of a pamper every week, 1 or 2 times a week I would say, and I'll recommend a couple of products that I like to use. So the first one is the Ultra Comfort Rescue Mask from Ren, which is the Evercalm range, and that's really good for eczema, but it's also good for inflamed skin in general. It will calm the skin down and also hydrate the skin. So you just put this on for about 20 minutes and then you wash it off, and your skin will feel amazing. I definitely do feel amazing after using this. And I would but I also do sometimes put it on overnight, but I put a thinner layer on overnight and then I just wash it off in the morning. And that, yeah, I'd really recommend using that more often. That's a regular one that I use quite a lot. And then this next one is more of a pamper one for me. I use this every now and then, but I mean, I'm running out of it, so I do need some more because I love it so much. But this is the honey and jasmine mask from Organic Pharmacy, and that's a really good one for to boost elasticity in the skin and also to hydrate it as well. And it's quite a nice sticky consistency, but it will really sink into the skin and you'll feel, your skin will just feel so much stronger afterwards. And so that's it really from me. And I will pass on to Sophie now. But if you have any questions, yeah, do just comment below, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you soon. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Sophie and I'm a nutritional therapist with a background in traditional Chinese medicine and Western naturopathy. And I've come here today to give you some tips to boost your health and help you feel confident and happy and energized. I'm also going to delve into a subject that's coming up for a lot of us at the moment, and that is a tendency to comfort eat in times of stress. So also known as emotional eating and overeating. So I'm going to give you a few tips to navigate your way at this time. So first and foremost, I will talk about my absolute pet subject, which is hydration. And if there's one thing you can go away with today after watching this, and that is to increase your water intake, you will be doing yourself a massive favor. And why is this? Well, we are 70 to 80% fluid. We're 80% fluid in the brain. And one of the biggest challenges facing us in the world today is dehydration. Because our environment is so different to the way it was before, there are lots of challenging aspects to it. We've got satellite dishes in space, where we've got driving, we've got electricity, we've got heating in the winter, we've got Wi-Fi, we've got 4G, and soon we're going to be having 5G. And this is all incredibly dehydrating for our system. But the thing is that we need water for every single function in our body. So as soon as we become dehydrated, we affect every single function in our body. But the biggest impact we have is that we create a buildup of our toxic load, and that has far-reaching effects. And the biggest organ that gets affected when we get dehydrated to start with is the bowel. And as I'm sure you are aware, there's a huge increase in irritable bowel syndrome and all sorts of associated gut issues. And this is because when we're dehydrated, it really affects the way the bowel functions. And often all the water will be reabsorbed through the lining of the colon to service the rest of the body. But the poor colon itself really suffers. So we might have constipation or diarrhea. You may have none of those symptoms. You may feel like you're having a lovely, large, complete bowel movement every day. But typically, most people are not having satisfactory bowel movements to clear their toxic load. Now, the problem is when the toxic load builds up in the system, it manifests in different ways depending on your family history, your stress levels, your lifestyle, any emotional trauma, and the environment you live in. So it's very personal to the person as to how they manifest that buildup of toxicity. It might be an inflammatory condition like skin problems, eczema. It might be a joint problem like arthritis. It might be gut issues like irritable bowel syndrome. It might be allergies like hay fever. How it manifests is very individual to the person, and that's one of the things I do in consultations, is to look at your full history to understand how you're manifesting the dis-ease and why it's happening, and help you learn and discover tools to support you and move you out of that toxic picture. So the other thing I didn't mention is that it can also help affect your mental health, so your emotional state. because we are in holistic medicine, we're all connected. The body and the mind is all connected, and the brain is an organ that needs to be well hydrated. Otherwise you can experience things like brain fog, poor memory, poor concentration, etc. And not only that, you may also suffer from anxiety and more severely depression, and all of it is very strongly connected to the rest of the body. And what's wonderful about holistic medicine, and in my area it's traditional Chinese medicine and naturopathy, is the way that in traditional Chinese medicine the organs are connected to different emotions, to colours, to senses. Do you see? So it's a whole holistic approach to the body. So anxiety is typically connected with the kidneys. So if you're dehydrated, your anxiety is likely to be worse. And of course, anxiety is part of the reaction by the central nervous system, which is very much governed by our fluids and hydration in our body. So you might be wondering at this point, how much should you be drinking? And I would recommend you drink about 2 litres of pure, clean water at room temperature. And this is because if you drink it at room temperature or even warm, it will be absorbed quickly as opposed to having to be heated up in the stomach. I wouldn't recommend you have more than 1 litre in 1 hour, or you might flood the kidneys. So we can go the other way. And you can't really include tea and coffee. And you also cannot include really cordials or anything, because once you add something to the water, it has a different message. And often that message might be one of causing diuresis. So in the case of tea and coffee, it has a diuretic effect. It pushes fluids out of the body. And in the case of cordials, it is now interpreted as a food and will require more water to break down the sugars and the chemicals and the flavourings in the cordials. So really, if you can stick to the pure, clean water, and some people say, oh, but I hate water, it's so boring, it has no taste. And really my answer to that is it's essential. Don't put any emotion to it. Just drink it. Just get a pint glass and drink it down and forget about it. And what happens over a period of time is you get your thirst back. And when you get your thirst back, you will realise how dehydrated you've been all of this time. The other thing that's really beneficial about being well hydrated is that it stabilises your blood sugar. And this brings me on to this subject also very close to my heart, which at the moment particularly, which is overeating, emotional eating and comfort eating. It's all the same thing. It's basically eating and looking in the cupboards and looking for something to eat when you're already full. So it's a desire by you to feel better. And in wanting to feel better, food is a very quick solution for that, because it gives you an instant hit, an instant good taste, and you instantly feel better. The problem is, it's the long-term effects of it. So once you've had that rise in your blood sugar, it then crashes down again and you feel bad again. So it's really important to take care of yourself, particularly in moments of stress. And at this moment, I don't know how you're handling this worldwide situation we're in. And I would invite you to take some time to really connect in with your inner self and really be as loving as you can to yourself at this difficult time. And when you find yourself going into the cupboards and looking for that extra snack or that bowl of ice cream, etc., etc., is just to take a moment to pause and check in with yourself. Now, it's not a time to be beating yourself up. It's not a time to be criticizing yourself and telling yourself that you've got no willpower and a lack of discipline. This is not helpful. And actually, the way we talk to ourselves is really instrumental in how successful we are at overcoming certain unhealthy habits. So the key thing I always recommend is start with this hydration that I've been talking about, because that really stabilizes your blood sugar. So start with that. Secondly, I would look at your diet in terms of hydration. So I'm kind of jumping back to the hydration story a bit, because I just want to make sure that physically you're in the best place possible, because when we are physically dehydrated and gunky, our blood sugar becomes more unstable, and our craving for things like chocolate and sugar and damaged fats that you find in crisps and things is likely to be higher, and we're more likely to succumb to those cravings because our physical body wants to feel good. And that quick fix will make it feel good, but it's only temporary. And what I want to give to you in these videos are more long-lasting tips and ways to tackle those kinds of things. So with the hydration, you are going to benefit yourself if you are comfort eating at the moment, because at the physical level, you're going to be addressing your hydration and stabilizing your blood sugar. Now, with the hydration, it's not just about drinking water. It's also about eating the right foods. Mostly, I'm not saying you have to be perfect. In fact, what I would recommend is you try a sort of 80-20 kind of ratio. So if you look at your week and you plan it loosely with the kinds of foods you're going to eat, and then in that sort of 20%, you say, oh yeah, I'm going to have a dessert, I'm going to have an ice cream, I'm going to have some glasses of wine. You sort of put your favorite foods in there so you don't banish yourself from having enjoyable foods completely. That just doesn't work long term. Fatty diets don't work either. You create this kind of loose weekly plan and you put in your favorite foods and you really enjoy them. So in order to hydrate fully, we're looking at the water intake, but we're also looking at the foods you're eating. So yes, have your favorite foods. They might be a bit dehydrating, but if you put them in the 20% ratio, that the body will cope with typically. And then if the 80% is really swollen, so lots of brown rice, quinoa, jacket potatoes are fine, vegetables, some fruits, some nice clean proteins like chicken, fish and eggs. And lots of variety, don't cook the same thing every day. Really allow yourself to have some enjoyable dishes with lots of different types of proteins and lots of different types of vegetables. And that way you're going to be able to do it more effectively and for longer. So you've got the hydration through what you're drinking, you've got the hydration through your food. You're now still having your favorite foods that might be a bit dehydrating, but you're putting them in a lower score than your other foods. So you're counterbalancing. And you do have to watch though gluten. It's a bit of a pain because it's a bit dehydrating. And some people will think, well, gluten, wholemeal bread, etc. is good for you, which I would question actually. Hopefully you know that it's not that good for you. But the problem with gluten is that it's the way it's grown. It's covered in glyphosate unless you get organic gluten. And it's basically the most drying acidic grain on the sort of out of the list of grains. So the more you can have, the more swollen grains like short grain brown rice or other kinds of rice and quinoa. And root vegetables, for example, are a good carb, the easier it is on your system. So repeating myself, we've got the 2 litres of water going in, we've got the lovely swollen diet, we've got the 80-20, so we're balancing the hydration as well as we can, but we're still having our favourite foods in there, so we can still have lots of variety and enjoy our diet. We've got a weekly plan in there, which gives us a bit of flexibility. So just looking, oh yes, let's, cook this on this day and just have a bit of a routine. And so on a physical level, you're putting a lot of things in place to make it easier not to succumb to overeating, comfort eating and emotional eating. But one thing I haven't addressed, which is really important to address now when we're talking about comfort eating, is the emotional side and this kind of stress side of things. And what I would encourage you to do is, first of all, be as loving to yourself as you can, especially in that moment when you're having your second ice cream or your second chocolate bar. I am a complete lover of chocolate and sweet things. And I have been like this all of my life. And that's definitely on my favourite foods list. And when I find myself going in the biscuit tin or into the cupboard with the chocolate in it, beyond feeling full, I have to do a little check-in in that moment. And I would really recommend you do that too. And really ask yourself, what is this really about? Because often we eat to try to hold down our feelings. It might be fear about this current situation. It might be that we're being reminded of things from our childhood. Maybe we don't feel good enough. Maybe something happened in the day where somebody said something and it triggered this not good feeling in ourselves, which will have come from childhood. Other things can happen that can trigger us, that can lead us to want to comfort ourselves. So in that moment when you want that chocolate bar, if that's in your 80-20 weekly plan, then go have it. But what you'll notice is there is a difference between the emotional eating and just having that treat. You can usually tell the difference. You feel uncomfortable, you feel this discomfort in your emotional state at that time. And so if you can recognize that to start with, and just first of all pause. So just stop yourself when you're about to go for that snack in the cupboard or whatever it is, and just take a moment to tune in and be as loving to yourself in that moment as possible. Just let yourself breathe, calm yourself down, close the cupboard door, and if you can, distract yourself. So maybe go and do an errand, maybe go, hang the washing up, maybe call a friend. Just do something that distracts your mind for a moment. And then always, if you can, have a glass of water, because it might be that your blood sugar's dropped and that's very uncomfortable. So we will crave something to try to get that blood sugar up and feel better. The glass of water will bring your blood sugar back up. And then if 15 minutes have gone by, because they've done the research to show 15 minutes, the food craving usually goes away. If after 15 minutes you still really want that food, then I would encourage you to get a small portion of it and thoroughly enjoy it and eat it mindfully and slowly. All the while not beating yourself up. So this is really key, is that you allow yourself to really be as kind to yourself as you possibly can. One of the things we do is we speak to ourselves very differently to the way we speak to others. And often it's with a very critical tone. Oh God, I can't believe you've done that again. Oh, what's wrong with me? Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm this, I'm that. There's a lot of what we call our inner critic on this sort of hamster wheel going on and on at us. And what it does is it just lowers our confidence more. It makes us feel more rubbish, and it doesn't benefit us creating healthy habits and a healthy mindset. So what I would encourage you to do also in that moment is to invite your wise inner coach to come up, the loving part of yourself, because you do have that part as well. We've got the inner critic and the inner coach. And really invite the loving part of yourself to come up and really support and hold you in that moment. What is it you need when you're wanting that extra glass of wine or that extra chocolate or whatever it is? What is it you really need in that moment? Do you need a hug? Do you need to FaceTime a friend? Do you need to spend some time in nature? Do you need to, and this is where I really want to introduce some of PLAISIRS products into this, because this self-love that we need to do is so crucial to our health. Our thoughts create our emotions, which create our habits. So if we've got anything that is destructive or any self-sabotage going on, it needs to come down to taking care of you, taking care of us. And so a lot of the lovely products that PLAISIRS stock is with that in mind, is that self-nurturing, self-soothing and self-loving. And I want to suggest to you that my absolute 2 favorite products, particularly at the moment, and what I'm using a lot, is the Aromatherapy Associates diffuser. So they've got this lovely, it's a pebble diffuser, which you can get, And then you get these gorgeous essential oils. So they've got a revive one, a relax one, a support one, which is really good for the breathing. And you just put a few drops on the pebble diffuser and it just infuses into the room. And these kinds of rituals are so incredibly beneficial because they help you return back to you. They help you to come back to center. And coming back to a place of center is a very healing place for the body, and it benefits your mind and your body, you know, the whole of you. So I would really recommend those. I'm using the support one at the moment, but you know, the revive one is great in the morning and the relax one is great in the evening. And these little rituals that we do, things like burning incense and using the diffusers, is a very calming, soothing, loving thing to do for yourself. And the other product I'm absolutely mad about is the Joe Wood Usiku candle. That fragrance, Usiku, it's all natural. And there is something about having those kinds of pleasurable scents that gives us that feeling of well-being. So those are the two things: lighting a candle, saying a prayer, doing a meditation, playing your favorite music and having a little dance. What can you do that is deeply loving to you? So I'm going to sign off now. I hope you have found that helpful. If you want to get in touch, you can find me at fullernutrition.com. I do Facebook Lives every week, and I also write blogs every week, so you can join my mailing list and do a deep dive into these subjects that are close to my heart. So I'm sending you lots of love and lots of support at this difficult time. Please take care of you. Be as loving and kind to yourself as you can. Use some of those lovely products and have a go at getting really well hydrated. Lots of love to you all. Take good care and bye for now.
Hi everyone, I'm Amber, the Assistant Manager here at PLAISIRS, and I'm just here to tell you about our special offer that we have for tonight only. So any purchase of 2 products or more this evening will get one of our cotton bags for free with a surprise wellness gift inside. So you can order by phone 722002 or online on our website at PLAISIRSboutique.com. All you have to do is mention Wellbeing Workshop when you phone up, or write Wellbeing Workshop in the notes when you order, and your gift will automatically be added on from us. And we really hope everyone had a lovely time watching our Wellbeing Workshop today, and we just hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Bye!